It's 1716 on the 4th of October, and while I'm self healing from crimes against the Hippocratic, I'm seriously concerned about the level of incompetence and lack of professionalism and the absence of courtesy, common courtesy, that is usually required in proper transactions, procedures, and affairs. Now, as I've mentioned, since 2003, I've worked with the Department of Education, Agriculture, and Social Protection, and there's a little bit of a matter about irresponsible adults um, burying their head in the sand and saying, look, we're not going to look at this problem, we're not going to treat it as an issue of matter of importance, an issue of importance or a matter of importance. We're just going to let the problems continue getting worse, and we're just going to make a mess of the situation, and then we're going to make the debts that we owe people a lot worse as well. And we won't worry about the issue of integrity, and we won't worry about the Hippocratic Oath crimes. So all of those tendencies are present in this situation that I'm experiencing, and it's really irresponsible. It's put people's lives at risk, taking my child from me illegally, slandering my good name, not paying what debts are owed, people living off me and living off legislation that's come from me. So there's a lot going on, and I'm still awaiting for some dignified, honourable, respectful adults that would categorise themselves as professional to do what they're supposed to be doing. Ombudsman for Children deciding just not to look at an unlawful care order to accommodate the madding crowd isn't exactly intelligent, especially, as this is a royal protocol issue. Those people that have been of blasphemy and threatening the peace or causing disharmony with the abduction of my child and their false reporting and slandering are really not safe discussing people's privacy. They're not really in a safe place with the church, they're not in a safe place with children, and they're not in a safe place with the Constitution. So, as I've said, I don't in any way condone anyone taking liberties with my rights. As I'm World Protocol, there's an issue about people assuming that they're in a position to just offend where they feel like it. Brexit has originated from my present circumstances, or from the circumstances where I am presently in the southwest of Ireland. Now, Brexit has offended, or the origins, the factors that led to Brexit have offended certain facets of society. The pretense is offensive to factors in the society and system that weren't being handled properly and that weren't being respectful of what is safety and security. So Brexit, from where it is originating, is a place where there is still offence being caused. And the Department of Justice is aware that there has been a level of crime prevention. I have represented humanitarian causes and goals that are around mental health, children's welfare, children's safety. And as an educator, as a mother, I'm still trying to locate where my son is. I'm still wondering what Great Britain assumes or feels or thinks of this situation to be occurring unjustly, inexcusably, and unforgivably, in the language of the United Nations. And I'm just curious, as it's like crime that is occurring, I'm wondering what authorities are doing to safeguard little girls and boys when there are unlawful actions, unlawful care orders occurring. It puts people at risk, people thinking they're above the law and when they aren't of royal protocol. So it just beggars belief. It doesn't make sense. Intelligent people are in Europe. They're aware that there are wrongdoings and crimes and corruption after occurring against my good name, character, and reputation. They are also aware of the origins of Brexit and COVID-19 from me, and yet my son is still a missing person, as Buzz of mental health illness are going into living arrangements and premises where they're not legally entitled. They're helping themselves to contents and belongings and patronage that they don't have ownership or entitlement to, and they're discussing people's privacy without first-hand experience or first-hand contact. And the same cycle of slander, defamation, charlatanism, tall tales, all going on, and that is really, really not a trustworthy situation. So those people that are a liability and that are liable. Now, as I've said, there are individuals that have been online taking credit for intellectual creative property work that isn't all authentically of their own. So this issue isn't just a fellowship issue, it's not just a recovery issue, it's the health issue. People of spitting and contamination in society, spitting offences are criminal, and yet the Garda Síochána that are notified, that are aware, are still absent in this situation. So what's going to happen to the little girls and boys when there are disgusting circumstances of land grabbers, common petty thieves, and contaminants, toxic people in society still dirtying the humanitarianism of my portfolio, taking credit for work and doing things that aren't exactly, acceptable with any adult of any caliber or quality in their profession or their position. So those that are speaking out of place, thinking that they're in a position to be taking ownership, stepping over lines, it's really not making children's future safe. So my son is a missing person. There are still crimes against COVID occurring. COVID is regarding contamination and mental health, ASBO behaviour. All of those circumstances have been a part of the crime prevention I have initiated, and that is all being put at risk because of the same mentally disturbed ASBOs still evading and exacerbating their deaths and putting innocents at risk. So if my child is at risk, my farms aren't safe for people to be developing or trespassing, and where they have deaths owing. So it just doesn't make sense. These people are not making rational sense, but they're not working with the law. They don't have the law with them either. I don't give permission to anybody to use my identity name or my royal titles. I simply don't give anyone any permission to use anything of my patronage or property or portfolio. So this is astonishing that this is 2023. My child is absent illegally from my care in 2017, and the degenerate behaviour of individuals that consider themselves professional are still toxic and contaminant in society. Now that offends COVID from my portfolio, research and recovery, really. It's 2 decades of research and recovery. But the issue is still ongoing, and that's offensive. So those that are responsible for unlawful detainments, unlawful care orders, harms to my child, all of this rubbish and trash that's going on in Tralee, it's really not making people safe, and it really doesn't help what's become of Brexit. It's really wrong. It's a disservice, it's a disrespect, and it's just not tolerated in any modern, professional, civilized circles. So those that are of online activity, I'm aware that there are people that are of identity theft. I'm experiencing the cybercrime. So these people are not trustworthy to be transacting financially or otherwise. These people's transactions are not creditworthy, and they haven't got authenticity. They have just, I suppose, by hook or by crook, the brown paper bag issue, you know what I mean? They're just like chancing their arm at every hand's turn to cause more trouble. So those people that are working with that, I have concerns for your level of professionalism and your safety in your positions. This is quite unsafe for people to be offending ethics, standards, morals, principles, especially when I have been of the crime prevention with the Victim Support Federation and the Fellowship, whose anonymity principle was offended in the southwest of Ireland by those that have been of recovery offences. So anyway, the point of the matter is those in Europe that have regard for respect, privacy, safety, and the ethics, morals, those that are up in Dublin that are saying that they're of the safety and security of the state are not of safety or security best interests at all. There are no individuals in a position to have access to my private space, my personal space, my property, my portfolio. All of those matters are problems that are rising in this situation of crime. It's corruption, it's dirty, and it's the same usual circumstances that have been visible prior to Brexit. So those that are discussing Brexit without first-hand experience or knowledge aren't really equipped to be continuing on with the same problems that they've already been making. And online activity, people that are taking this to another stage, ignoring right protocol, ignoring whistleblower protection laws, ignoring basic civil principles, civil society principles, those three, tenets, those three, paradigms, those offended. And there's a problem then for the youth of today, because the young people are seeing a problem being caused by adults that don't have the dignity, integrity, or a shred of sense or shame about not paying their debts. So those bunch of keys that were stolen from me last Friday week in Tralee at roughly 10 to 11 in the morning are still missing and reported stolen. This issue doesn't make people's homes safe, especially when those homes are prospering from legislation and wealth from me. So those that are of liable for the past 20 years aren't in a clean track record of any sense to be conducting any transactions against Royal Protocol. So the libel of my good name for the past 20 years is being brought to the attention of the European Court of Human Rights. Those that have been offending the role of my child and I with the impact of the Garda Síochána in Tralee specifically, those that have been corrupting justice, those that have offended social reform from me, those people that are taking credit from what I have done with 3 state departments, those people that have not paid their dues or debts, those that have been of defamation and disrespect and libel, offending my royal position, titles and names, taking credit for work they haven't done, are all really putting children's lives at risk. My son is illegally from my care. Gardaí still haven't located him, or Garda Síochána haven't located him, and violence against women and children aren't in the best interest of those thinking they're walking onto my land without paying their debts that they owe me. So it's really disgusting situation again, but this is what Brexit has led to. Brexit, this is exactly what the Brexit pretext was. So those ASBOs with confusion about their identity and associating their trash with my royal titles are really not safe to be transacting with. They have not got the law on their side. They don't have royal protocol, and they don't have good faith practices. So those offending the Vatican and my nuptials of the 30th of the 3rd, 2015 are also compromising themselves with the Roman Catholic Church. So I hope everyone understands what witchcraft has been done from this part of the country and what impact it has had on innocent lives, unassuming those people that have caused Brexit with their negative actions and thoughts and behaviours might be careful about what I had to contend with to address their crimes and their failings and wrongdoings. So it's a huge issue. There's a lot happening. European Court of Human Rights, you have an obligation, and I would appreciate that it be respected, and that the European Court of Human Rights contact me at the number that I have provided. This community in the southwest of Ireland has a problem honouring its debts, and unfortunately they're not fit for business. They're not authentically equipped for professional standards to be respected, and any wealth that they're using that I own, that they owe, is at risk for people to be transacting with. It's really dirty. It's a dangerous situation, but that's what stolen wealth from royalty is about. So those that are working with the frauds again are really putting themselves at risk. So I hope everyone understands the law of the land and how dangerous it is to offend royal protocol and my royal positions, names and titles. If the Garda Síochána wouldn't mind, my son is a missing person. There was no right or remit to interfere with my son and I on that date in January 2017. And the Ombudsman for Children, if you wouldn't mind, Tusa Child and Family Agency have no right or remit with my boy. So if you couldn't mind doing what you're supposed to be doing, you might be careful about doing what you did already before you caused the problems with what happened to be Brexit and the Windsor new framework, etc. It's a sad sign of the times.